Greetings. This is Darth Vader, and you're listening to the Pretty Random Podcast. I find it most impressive.
Thanks for that, Darth Vader. That was the actual Darth Vader, by the way.
So impressed.
As you might have guessed, this week's absolutely crazy special, because we've been wanting to do this for 4 seasons, is Star Wars.
Yes.
Woo! Thundercats.
Oh, God.
I'm your host, Darth Dennison, and I am joined by Princess Holly.
Hello.
Jed, and Luke Skywalker.
Hello there.
Oh,
Hey,
nice.
that was really
That's
smooth.
good.
I was,
was
waiting
smooth.
for someone to say it, and because I was going to.
That was actually my idea.
So we're sat currently, depending on when you're listening to the podcast, we're sat on the precipice of the very final episode of the Star Wars Skywalker saga. We'll be watching it at some of us will be watching it at midnight on this coming week. So we're at peak hype, excitement of all time.
Oh,
of
yes.
Star Wars.
It's real.
For us, and like I said, we've wanted to do a Star Wars podcast for so long. There couldn't be a better time and a better moment to actually do it. But this is going to be, for all my hopes and dreams, to be the most structured podcast we've ever done as well. So we may drop the pretty random from the title. You never know, because I have pretty much a basic script in front of me. This is going to be pro. Pretty random basic script. Most of it is just the titles of the round, but some of it is really, really specific.
Nice.
And I'm very excited about those specifics.
Yes.
Okay. So the first round is actually going to be introduced by the real life Jar Jar Binks. As long as no one else has pressed his hand recently. And the first round is called... It's called "Oh My Moi, I Love You," where we talk about. I've asked the guys to name their favourite, and we'll do each one individually. So we're going to start off with. Here's a disclaimer before I get going. We're not going to talk about the TV shows. We're not going to talk about the comics. We're not going to talk about the books. They may be touched on, but that's way too big of a slice of pie to be serving up tonight.
So off the periphery, it's like you could spend a whole podcast.
Yeah, and then if anyone notices me going off on it as well, you need to rein me in as well, because I'm the one that's prone, sitting next to my library.
So beautiful.
Right now.
They're actually some of the last remaining copies of the expanded universe, because Disney would have had them burnt.
Well, they burnt.
Yeah.
They did.
It was
Yes.
regular book burning.
The Great Purge of 2014. They ruined the Star Wars childhoods. And if you're still with us,
Shit.
It was like a million voices all called out at once.
So yeah, this is "Oh My Moi, I Love You." The favourites. We're going to start off with each of person's favourite movie.
Wow.
Of out of all of them. I was going to say the saga, but out of all of them. Let's go anti-clockwise and start with Luke.
Great. So
He's got it written down on his phone.
I had to write this.
I'm so nervous.
I'm nervous because I don't want to go into too much depth that we lose everyone. So I've written down notes to keep it more concise and keep it on the straight and narrow, right? So I think Empire is widely regarded as the best Star Wars movie ever. My favourite, though, for similar reasons to what Empire was, is Rogue One. So one of the more recent Star Wars movies. Rogue One was a bit darker in theme. I love an underdog story, and these were just unremarkable people doing remarkable things. And it ended up being a really tragic story, but the main thing about it is it gave weight to the original Star Wars movie. It really lended a whole new tone to it, especially with I loved it all the way through, even with the absence of Jedi, right, which are notoriously my favourite part of Star Wars. You still had Force users, but in a different sort of sense. It was a much more down-to-earth, really relatable journey with all the main characters. And all of that was amazing. And then you got the really, really cool Vader scene right at the end, which tied it in amazingly to the original trilogy. It just blew my fucking mind. It's, I wouldn't say by far and away, but... I enjoyed every aspect of that film. incredible.
And I enjoy the fact that you didn't lead with the Darth Vader thing, because Rogue
Yeah.
One is amazing, but everyone refers to that before they
Yeah.
refer to anything else about the film.
Yeah. I deliberately didn't lead with that because I didn't want to overlook the things I have overlooked, and I had to just check my phone again. Things like Empire was really good because you had a plethora of planets, a beautiful scenery, and that was replicated in Rogue One. You saw lots of cool planets. Also, aside from Vader, Death Troopers looked fucking incredible. Loved them. And some really iconic characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's almost been underrated.
Yeah.
Because we've had almost back-to-back years of Star Wars movies, it quickly almost got underappreciated quite quickly. Because I recently watched it back. I'm sure we all have or will be soon, and it's really actually a really well-made movie. Like everybody's character serves a purpose. Like everyone they all sacrifice themselves for obviously the greater good because it's a suicide mission pretty much. But when you watch it back, you realise that every single person did something that led to the eventual Princess Leia getting the Death Star plans, and had not a single one of them done their thing, then it all would have fallen apart. So
Yeah.
that's what I really like about it. I was like, when you watch it again, or even watching it at the time, you're like, actually, this is really well done, and it's cool to see a story like you said about a group of characters who none of them are Skywalkers or
Chosen
Jedis.
ones.
Yeah, it's just a grassroots film. It's like really the base of the whole rebellion is just there.
It also served to open up almost like doors to deeper Jedi lore, even though they didn't exist in it. You've got Jeddah as like a Jedi temple, and that's like you don't. It's not explicitly stated in the movie what is going on and why it's important. You know, you've got the big Jedi laying down that's clearly like some big statue that was there originally, and like all of these things exist to create intrigue rather than lay it out specifically for
And you have like Jyn has a kyber crystal, doesn't she, like on her necklace
Yeah.
that her mum gives her, and that
yeah.
adds like a layer of intrigue as well. So good.
Yeah, and the amount of people that other than what you're shown explicitly in the prequels, like the wider characters who you never even see or know about, who believe in the Jedi, who they're not Force sensitive themselves, but they're like trust in the Force, and I am one of the Force, and the Force is with me. I'm one of the Force, and the Force is with me. Like, all of that stuff's just really cool because it makes you like, if you're delving into just the story itself and being like, let's completely believe this story and not go too crazy on like any specifics, and being like, there are still people out there in the galaxy who did believe in the Jedi, and that once you watch all the films again and later down the story, how things changed and they tried to erase their memory, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like this sort of like acceptance as well, like the whole believing in the Force but not necessarily having like that Force intuition of like believing that like you're in the right place at the right time, and like no matter what happens you're there for a reason and you're there to help, is what I really loved about that film. It's like this, just the sense of camaraderie, and we're gonna get this job done even if it kills us all, which is just how it should be.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Good choice, actually. I don't know. I don't know what I'm expecting anyone to pick, but I think that I wasn't expecting anyone to necessarily pick one of the, let's say, spin-offs or whatever.
Yeah.
But if one was going to be chosen out of the two, there's not really that many to pick. But but I really enjoy Rogue One as well. But I am surprised that you picked it, but also completely like agree with your reasons for picking it. So it's good choice.
What would you pick?
Well,
good segue.
I would pick Rogue One. No, I would have no disagreements in picking Rogue One. I had to think, because I would toy between this and be like, no, that's my favourite one. No, that's my favourite one. Oh no, this is my favourite. But if I really think back and think about the one that I wore out the VHS special edition tape of, where it got crackly in parts because I'd watched it back so many times, it was Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
But specifically, if we're going to get very specific, it is the 1997 special edition release of Return of the Jedi.
Amazing.
Because that is the special editions are the first versions of Star Wars that I ever saw. So I'm sorry if anyone out there prefers the original Ewok ending. I like the new one. I'm sorry. But yeah, Return of the Jedi is my favourite, and it's well, obviously you guys' answers might might go along the same lines. And similar with Rogue One, I think it's difficult to almost pick one because a lot of them only become your favourite from having seen the other movies, if that makes sense. But because Return of the Jedi is almost the climax of the other two, it can almost only work because of them coming before it. Whereas I think A New Hope works brilliantly as its own movie if they never made any more.
Yeah.
But you'd be a little bit lost if you just turned on Return of the Jedi and were like, oh, what's happening? But reasons I like Return of the Jedi, and I really liked it as a kid, number one, although these aren't actually in any particular order, and this is one thing that I've always liked about Star Wars, it's very difficult to see a character or any sort of influence in a larger aspect called Jed, or any mention of the name Jed. I've kind of been the only Jed I've ever known. I've never seen like a character called Jed, and then for Jedis to be a thing, and see the word Jed written down and then mention it, I was like, this is my favourite thing forever. So that was pretty cool, but it has a lot. It's like it doesn't really stop because you've got Jabba's sail barge stuff.
Yeah,
You got the fight there. Then
Can I just say something about the Jabba's sail barge? No, before Jabba's throne room. Okay, so I have no problem with the special editions. Lucas is free to do with his property whatever he wants, regardless of what anyone says. That's just how intellectual property works. But if I had to pick something I would want back originally, it's the band in Return of the Jedi, because the special edition one where like the guy gets up close and sings into the camera. I was like, what? No, that doesn't make any sense, because it was quite like it. I don't know if you've gone back and ever watched the cinema versions, but in the cinema version, it's like kind of understated, and he's like, the band's just playing in the background, and it's just like it's there so that the girl can dance a little bit, because they even had to refilm another girl looking like the girl that was dancing originally, doing this huge whole dance to it, and it's like it's just supposed to be this really awkward thing where she's clearly not comfortable dancing, and like it's like a really weird and then they just made it into this huge CG Muppet section. That's the only bit. Like, again, I can watch it and it's just like, yeah, whatever. But like, if I'm pushed, that's my
I think there came a time when years before what's available to be able to do with CGI and motion capture nowadays, but back then when George Lucas or whoever was being able to explore what they can do, where they were like, oh, I'm going to do this and this, because they were able to do it for the first time. But the stuff going on in Jabba's palace and the sail barge stuff where they're about to be put into the Sarlacc pit, again, like, I think their little plan, although it kind of goes wrong, everyone kind of served a purpose. Like, Lando was already there undercover, Han was in the Carbonite, Leia goes in pretending to be a bounty hunter, with droids, even though 3PO's not aware of the plan, R2 is, and like they all had a plan. They completely like played Jabba. I'm pretty sure Luke didn't plan on falling in the Rancor pit, but he got out of it, so it was okay. And then they got back on track. But then at the end, the big space battle, I think, is probably one of my favourite ones. And everything on Endor, the battle with Darth Vader,
so good.
There's a lot of big climactic action sequences. It's almost kind of quite non-stop. But that being said, it does kind of really work having the weight of the two previous. But standalone as a kid, so I'm not going to betray young Jed. He'd be very disappointed in me if I chose something else. I'd have to agree with what my favourite film was as a kid, which was Return of the Jedi.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's a good answer.
And obviously the Ewoks are the best, so yeah.
Yes!
just talk about the Ewoks. So here's an interesting parallel, I suppose. When I was working with Luke, I was talking about Jar Jar Binks one day, and talking about the hate, and Luke was like, what? Who hates Jar Jar Binks? And I was like, everyone. Like, obviously not me, but like, everyone.
A lot of people.
I didn't know that. And I think that just goes to show, one, that like the curtains have been pulled over all of the cynicism and rancor from the fans, but also the same thing happened to me when I found about Ewoks. I didn't know about people hating Ewoks until I was like in my mid-20s, and I was like, who hates Ewoks?
Who could hate a little
didn't know,
Ewok?
and now that you mention it, I didn't know. And
I didn't know
at the time
that.
watching it as a kid, I had no problem with the Ewoks like overthrowing the
why
Empire.
wouldn't
I
you?
thought they were cool. I thought, look at all these traps they're making.
I collected Ewoks, figures. Like, they were like my go-to. I had like bloody Chief Chirper. People don't even know who Chief Chirper is. I can point him out in the thing.
love
I was
those
obsessed
little
with the Ewoks cartoon. When I found it out, I was like, who doesn't like the Ewoks? But then that just goes to show that it was adults, because there was 6 years between these films, and someone who was 13 and during A New Hope became 19 and cynical by the time that Return of the Jedi came around. Then you hear people saying it's weak and like this, that, and the other. And like, when you look at it, you're like, it's really not weak. It's got a hell of a lot of high, like you said, like the high points in it are staggeringly high. The space battle was incredible. The final lightsaber battle was incredible.
There was an Ewok on a speed bike.
There's Ewoks everywhere.
Which again, like, I watched Return of the Jedi back recently, and it's only like little things now where I'm picking up on every little bit. Like, oh, let's focus on everything, hyper focus on everything. The Ewoks. I'm really defending the Ewoks here, but the Ewoks, that bit where one gets on a speeder bike and goes away, the Ewoks knew what they were doing. They did that on purpose.
Yeah, it was a diversion.
He knew they were going to chase him.
I'm sure this won't be the first point that I break my own rule, but in one of the new canon books, there's an Ewok engineer. So like they've made steps to make sure they don't speak. She doesn't speak English, but or basic as they call it. But they've made steps to try and address that Ewoks weren't. They were only primitive through circumstance, not through intellect.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, like, I'd imagine that if you took a relatively early human being, you could, within a few years, you could make them understand how to do the things that we know how to do now.
Yeah.
As long as they've got like the
tools.
the motor skills and the communication skills and everything, which again could probably be taught. But then, so that just goes to show that the Ewoks, they're not stupid little bears. They just didn't have access to anything.
Yeah,
So-
and they made the most of what they did have. And to be fair, had Luke not used his force power on 3PO to make him do floaty chair, they wouldn't kill him.
I
they were savages, really. They were like,
they wouldn't cook him.
fuck you up, sir.
I have done so much research that I'm trying to. I have to try and remember which ones I put in. But I've gone through so many facts. This is one I didn't know, and it's nobody's really sure if it's a coincidence or not. But apparently, the word Naboo is used by Ewoks, and like there's a theory that George Lucas just took that word because he liked the sound of it.
Made it something,
Made it,
something else. Oh,
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah.
But also the Ewok. No, I don't think I have this one in here. The Ewok language is it the Ewok language? I think is actually a real language.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
based on a language.
Oh,
I think,
oh,
or
nice.
maybe it's based on a mixture of two languages.
I love one of my favorite sack pictures is the picture of like Carrie Fisher with
Wicket,
yeah,
Warwick.
Yeah, when he's like a little kid and he looks like he's having so much fun.
There's a video where he tried to make a documentary or something where Warwick, when he was a kid and he's still in the outfit, and it's like behind the scenes with them all, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and all of them. And he's like, I need to get back to my home planet.
Yeah.
I don't know if did we see him talk about that at Star Wars Celebration? Were you in that one when?
Yeah, where
said
he
he's-
pretended he dressed up as Wicket, and then Gary
went for
Gary
it.
Fisher, like Carrie Fisher's dog,
Oh,
went,
when he
like,
goes off
growled and, like, was protecting him because
He's
he had
like
his
proper
stick.
going off.
It's so good. We
He
were
could
watching
have,
it.
Gary could have killed him. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna make.
He
You
just
know.
flapped his tongue at him. Another sort of side fact. The reason why I said I got Wicket and Warwick confused, it's not two things. It's not just because it was Warwick who played Wicket, but Wicket's name is Wicket K. Warwick. That's his full name.
Oh my god.
I am an Ewok. I tell you what, I'm not even kidding. I am an Ewok expert. His full name is Wicket K. Warwick,
Wicket K. Warwick
Wow.
Davies.
and he was the first of what I know to be two characters that have their name in their character of the person who played him. But the other one's in Resistance, so let's not talk about it.
Yes.
Cool.
Off limits.
Little wicked.
What's yours?
Well, mine was going to be Rogue One,
Ooh.
but
No, it can
of
also
course it
be
can.
Rogue One.
It is-
There's plenty more to talk about. Let's talk about something else.
There's two there was two contenders. It was Rogue One or Last Jedi. just like, I mean, I love both of them for all the reasons for Rogue One, like you said.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, I feel like it's even more important in today's political climate. Like, you just have these like just ordinary people doing the most extraordinary things, and like they're not necessarily going to get recognition for it, but they still do it anyway because they care. And like there's a scene, the ending scene of Rogue One always makes me cry.
Yeah, when Vader comes through those doors.
When K2SO gets shot.
Crying
that
with
does make me a bit upset, not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it's like when I think they're up on like the tower and they're like, you know, well, what if no one hears? And Jin's just like, no, someone will get this. Like someone out there will get this.
It was just hope that they would. Like
Yeah.
with it being released in the order that it was, we obviously the trouble is, and not the trouble necessarily, but the whole movie came out with, spoiler alert, they get the Death Star plans, because everyone knows what happened, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the trouble. But that being said, they were still able to add a lot of suspense and drama to it, even though really if you kept reminding yourself, oh, they get the Death Star plans, they get the Death Star plans. That's why I think it's a little bit of a strange area, because we already knew the ending.
Yeah.
It's the same for a lot of films, right? I mean, take like even like Endgame this year. Like you know that the good guys are gonna win. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
about how they win. It's not about if they win. It's about how in the journey, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but and like you guys said, and your reasons for it being your favourite, like the fact that the group of characters just did it for the hope that someone might get the Death Star plans.
Yeah.
Then it's just
Yeah.
pretty honourable cause.
Yeah. But yeah, it was either that or The Last Jedi. I love The Last Jedi. Like, I think my love for it is even fiercer amidst like the Rian Johnson hate, because I know he's a
You
genius.
can go to bat for him.
And like I know that movie is just like so cinematically perfect as well, and it has like one of my favorite scenes in any Star Wars movie, and it's the scene where Luke is trying to get Rey to like feel the Force, and she sees all these like little snippets of just like life and like darkness,
like plants growing and then dying, and
I
then
think
birds,
that's just
baby porks.
Yeah, it's just like it was so like just so like poetic and beautiful, and really like for me captured like the essence of Star Wars and what it's all about.
Did you see that someone had found another piece of like sort of subtlety, ingenious cinematography direction that he did? There's a scene where both Rey and Kylo Ren are lying down, and I think it's just before they communicate, and they're both lit, so they have half of the yin and yang on their face.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Yes.
that's really interesting that you've gone on to that area of things, actually, because let's not forget that while we're all talking about which Star Wars movie is our favourite, and massively we're going to be talking about Star Wars and its characters and its story, like there's so much actually in terms of how that it influenced films today that we're skipping over so much that we could possibly go into in terms of like you said, amazing actual cinematography and sound and special effects and all of that stuff. But that being the podcast would end up being like 10 hours.
Yes.
So.
It's just so good, and I love just this like, because a lot of the reasons people don't like it is because they had these expectations that they built up for these like hyper mythological characters like Luke, and Johnson just made him so human and so vulnerable, and he should be. That's how he should be. Like, he's gone through so much shit in his life. Like, he should be a cynical old man. Like, I mean, I'm cynical sometimes, and it doesn't take me a lot to be cynical.
But you're not an old man.
I'm not an old man. God, I wish. Like,
but no, that is true, and that is what a lot of the Disney era and probably later prequels, unfortunately, and there's no change in the fact that they'll all suffer from everyone's individual expectation of them. But you have to kind of take that away and appreciate them for what they are.
Yeah, and I just love like Rey is like also, you know, he sort of pulled the rug from underneath everyone with like, you know, even if J.J. Abrams goes back and is like, oh, she's someone special, she's a child of someone special, which I'm pretty sure he won't, because I know that he probably, because he said that like Rian Johnson really set up the last movie for him. It's like, just, she's no one, she's nobody. Like, why does she have to be someone? to be important or to be like a good Jedi.
She is someone just by being Rey.
Exactly.
Rogue, either if it's Rogue One or to have Last Jedi, so you haven't got the same one as Luke. I think again, like it's difficult because I'm like I love every Star Wars movie. But yeah, I do admire you strongly supporting Last Jedi, because it'd be easy to be like, oh yeah, it's crap, because everyone can pull it apart and have reasons to dislike it. I immediately was always like, I don't know why everyone hates it so much.
Yeah.
Me and you spoke quite a lot about being like, why is it getting such a backlash?
Also,
we do, sorry, just quickly,
Yeah.
we do live in a climate where it's difficult to see why things are different to what you think, though. This is happening quite a lot. I'm surprised that Marvel hasn't suffered from it yet. That's all. That's all. That's what I'm surprised about. That like, as it stands, Marvel is probably the only thing that seems immune from a decent portion of the fan base lashing out, or having a backlash yet.
yeah. Also, I had a couple other points that make that movie
Porgs.
so great. First of all, Porgs. You like
First and foremost,
and foremost,
Steve.
I am the Porg
Steve the
mother.
Porg.
So, just Rose, all these amazing characters that were in, like Rose, Holdo, the scene where Holdo drives into the Star Destroyer, it's just like mwah, like the silence and the monochrome, and it's just like.
You mean the scene that people complained about because the sound went out. That's true.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
They had to put I think they put signs up eventually in American
At one
cinemas.
point, the sound will go completely dead.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
actually a choice.
And also Princess Leia using the Force as well, because God, thank you, that was so needed. And it should have been there before, but thankfully we got it there. So.
I hope in Rise of Skywalker they CGI her using the Force to stick her middle fingers up.
But yeah, I could go on and on about that film.
I mean, you
'cause
forgot a
I
pivotal
love
scene where Luke drinks the alien milk straight from the udder.
Straight from the
I
titty.
mean, to be
Yeah.
fair, he does
Titty.
put it in a flask first.
Oh, so apologies. I'm not a true fan. I will leave.
you gotta appreciate at least a little modicum.
Yeah,
Of,
respect.
he's not a savage.
He's gone pretty far that way, but yeah.
That scene is, and I love like the behind the scenes stuff as well, of like that island being home to all the birds, and then them having to specifically create this creature of bird just to get around
To
the
go
fact
over the top of a puffin.
that it's like they've got endangered puffards on the island,
Yeah,
and they were
pretty
like, you
great.
can't move them, they're here
We
to
have to
stay.
CGI something over the top of it. Yeah.
So good.
I think it's probably that or Revenge of the Sith. The Last Jedi's the longest Star Wars movie, is it? It's one of the longest. It's like 2 hours 30 minutes or something.
And Rise of Skywalker's like gonna be a little
up there.
shorter.
Oh, it's shorter,
It's just
is
a
it?
little. It's only a little short, but it's still like the second or third.
Because
longest.
did anyone find, and I don't know if I have with any Star Wars movie, but I know that the past since Disney took them over, we've pretty much watched them all at midnight, so you have to take that into account about the tiredness. But I don't think I have. Just want to raise the question out of curiosity, really. Did anyone find that Last Jedi was starting to go too long while watching it, or did it not really play into it? Because I kind of was just like, that was a long movie,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it really suffered from it. I mean, they probably
No.
could have taken some parts out, but
Yeah, there were
not for any reason of being like that was bad, just
Yeah.
to trim it down.
Yeah, there were points where, like, obviously at midnight you are like, oh my god, like I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But there was never a point where like my eyes were like so for Rogue One, I remember specifically there was a point where my eyes started to like droop a little bit because I was so tired. But then that film is so like somber throughout the whole thing that like, but then I felt like The Last Jedi had a lot of action and also like a lot of bright scenes as well.
Yeah, they keep you awake a little bit more. Only because equally Marvel movies are pretty long. How long's the latest Avengers? That's like
Almost 3 hours.
Sometimes they can be like, this is a long movie.
Yeah,
when you're watching them, can't they? Like,
oh yeah, I felt that for Endgame especially. I was like, some parts I was like, we could do with trimming this down a bit. Like, I loved it, but
Yeah.
it did feel long. Also, my last point, Rogue One also, because it was actually the first Star Wars film that me and Mark went to see together in cinema.
Oh,
That's
So-
true. I remember you being sat there, and then I looked over and you were there, and I looked behind us, and Keith was asleep.
Matty.
Was
Oh
that
yeah,
Matt?
May.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Matt.
yeah,
Keith will bite your face
Oh,
off.
well, sorry. Retraction. Matty was asleep.
Curled up in a ball.
but yeah, that. I'll end it on a romantic sort of Han and Leia note.
That was good. We can
Right.
edit in the layers theme.
Yes.
come on then, Mark.
Yeah, come on.
Mine is the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I thought it was going to I thought it was going to be.
Most people wouldn't have seen it, and that's why it's so genius. I celebrate Life Day every year. These are all really obscure things.
Yeah.
But the Mandalorian, a lot of the Mandalorian, I'm pointing because there's a figure over there. The Mandalorian's original costume is inspired. Well, his gun particularly is inspired by a Boba Fett cameo in.
Yeah, there's got
in
and Life Day itself. In episode
Is-
1, that guy's like going to be on for Life Day.
Yeah.
Is Life Day Wookiee is like a Wookiee
Yes.
celebration?
Yeah.
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 Oh, I had no idea.
And then I think the oh no, I won't talk about it because we haven't seen the Mandalorian yet.
Because we've just seen some
Disney?
stuff on Twitter, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
some
I
spoilers.
don't know
Yeah.
anything
The trouble
about
is,
it.
I would have loved, because we got to wait until March, and I would have loved to have watched it, but I kind of already know that this Baby Yoda's a thing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
What? I thought it was like a pregnant woman. She was doing yoga, like baby yoga. Spoiler.
spoiler alert. But to tell us why Star Wars Holiday Special.
I don't think it's, especially anyone who knows me, is no surprise that Empire Strikes Back is my favorite film, and like it is well regarded as the best. It's up there in cinema terms as well, not
Yeah.
just like Star Wars. It
It's
is
a
actually
classic.
up there. It's got the greatest twist of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think probably the greatest twist of all time. I don't think there's many things that's going to beat it in terms of the long running implications of that as
Yeah.
well.
And especially first time around, because imagine
Yeah,
that
yeah.
at the time. Like, I know
Yeah.
nowadays, Luke, I am your father. I know that's not the line. But, and nowadays, it's become its own thing.
Yeah, it's a cultural phenomenon.
But imagine
Yeah.
watching that for the first time.
yeah.
I do
can't.
envy that. I envy
can't.
that.
I really can't. I mean, we've known some spoiler, like some twists and some like jaw-dropping moments in cinema history, like Sixth Sense, End of Fight Club, like all of these. Those came out within like 2 weeks. I don't know why I picked those two films. Those two came out in
Did they actually?
1999, like within 2 weeks of each other. I don't
And
know
since
why.
then, there's been nothing else.
That's right, yeah.
Two fucking-
Unfortunately,
Those
we've never
things.
been able to
No other
match them.
film.
But I just can't imagine what it must have been like sitting in a cinema for the very first time. Like we had some for Last Jedi, but nothing of that magnitude
No.
at all. Like that
Yeah.
shock value.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's the lightsaber battle leading up to it. Do you know what? I don't even know the point that I decided it was my favorite either, and I don't think it is even that final scene. I think it's just everything. I think it's the tone is so perfect for the whole film, and it's credit to the direction, because I think it could have gone in a very different way if maybe George Lucas had directed it. But Irving Kershner like came in. I think he was like a theater director as well. He wasn't a prolific
Wow.
sci-fi director particularly, and then he took it in a completely different direction. He did something very different with it, and people look back on it and thought it was great. So give it 10 years and maybe that's what they'll think of Last Jedi.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's exactly what will happen, and we all know, like we say, like, oh, imagine how amazing it would have been to see Empire, but the initial receptions for that movie were just as mixed as The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
As
They
well.
were just in
Yeah, that's a good
fanzines
point,
and
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
like
but
some
instead
small
of being
and
able to
write-ins.
complain on Reddit or whatever.
Yeah.
And visually as well, Empire Strikes, and visually and location wise, Empire Strikes Back has some really cool stuff. Because Hoth, I'm always
is
going to be
just
like
so
Hoth.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
Princess Leia's clothing on Hoth are some of the best clothing.
Wait, Hoth or Bespin? Hoth is the snow.
No, yeah,
Bespin's
yeah,
the cloud.
I know. Hoth, definitely. Like her,
You like her snowmobile?
Yeah, and her like white jumpsuit sort
Yeah.
of thing is so cool, and like her little like gilet thing that she's got
something
on.
I noticed about Empire, because I watched it again recently, was when because she's wearing that pretty much like that snow outfit, and then they escape on the Falcon and she's got the snow outfit on, and amazingly it's like, oh my god, my mind is blown. Like, you wouldn't even notice it, and it's not even important. But at one point, C-3PO and R2 are bumbling in, and he's like, well, how was I supposed to know that was the heater, blah, blah, blah. Whatever he says, he's like, it's going to take a long time for the princess's clothes to dry out. So it never tells you what happened. Obviously, all her clothes has got wet, because they've defrosted something in Hoth. And then, so she keeps the snow outfit on the whole time, until she gets to Cloud City, where Lando provides her with, like, some nice nice dreads.
Yeah.
And then,
very modern.
after Lando double-crosses them, she puts back on her snow outfit. So obviously she's like, you know what? Fuck you. Put back on my fucking snow outfit.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing your dress after you did that to me.
The Bespin outfit is beautiful, and also it's not a dress she's wearing. It's
But it's
actually a pantsuit.
She was stylish back in the day.
Yeah, they're
Trendsetter.
like flares. They look like a dress, but they're not.
They definitely need to do a Black Series figure of that one. Actually, it'd be really good. So obviously Bespin introduces probably one of the series' best characters in Lobot, which, by the way, I kind of jest, but like there is a specific something else story that at Lobot there is a very. Do you know who Lobot is? He's the guy with the robot built into his head. Like, he's got the droid. Like, it's the one that turns around and goes like that when Lando goes to fight Han Solo. And when it comes down, Lobot turns around, points. And the other people walk off. There's a really cool backstory to him, and it's canonical as well. So it's like
we're coming up to rewatching that film. So
look out for the bit where 3PO says they defrosted.
Yeah, I
and got her clothes wet.
That.
Because R2's like chirping away, and he's like, "Oh, it's not my fault. How's I supposed to know?"
I'll have to look out for that.
So yeah, I mean, I could sit here and extol the virtues for hours. I keep looking down at the books. I've got like the making of. It's the only making of book that I've bought, because those things are expensive, but they're really, really cool. And it's one of those books that you can. I realise I'm very far away from the microphone.
The book's just really far away. He's had to like go down a corridor.
It's one of those books you can turn to any page and just find like. Whoa.
Yes.
Incest! Look at Hans. Look at the expression on Hans' face.
The fuck?
He knows.
He knows.
And yeah, like the little details and the things that go. Like, it's a bit of a myth, but like Mark Hamill was in a car crash before.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, he was in. This isn't in the facts either. This is just incidental. He was in a car crash before the film. The stories range from it was a horrific car crash where he nearly died to he had a few facial wounds, and that's why there's a rumor that they had to build the Wampa scene around his facial injuries, because if you see his face between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, it's quite different. It's from this accident, and that's why he has to be in the back to see, because his face was still actually healing from it. But these are all. There were long-standing myths that seem to be getting debunked by him all of a sudden. Like, they've been around for ages, Mark. You could have said at any point that these weren't real, but like, I don't know. He's
just bored in the interim waiting for Rise of Skywalker to come out.
He does get smashed in the face by Wampa pretty early on in the film, so it would make sense. And to be fair, going back to Star Wars Holiday Special, if you want to check out that his face was definitely injured in that, because in Star Wars Holiday Special it's like slightly a little bit of not construction, but you can see where he's been injured.
In Return, and like he seemed like, when we've watched obviously A New Hope, like his face, the difference you can tell. It's almost like when people used to get smallpox and they have that sort of like weird texture to their face, with like the scaration, he kind of has that.
Yeah, he has that.
Yeah.
It's really pronounced in Return of the Jedi.
I like that we've got a segment now talking about Mark Hamill's face.
Mark Hamill's scars.
That's how deep Star Wars fans
The
are.
lore here is
We could actually just have a one episode on this topic.
And actually later on in that episode, Mark Hamill's face slightly changes again. Imagine if we had like 20-minute long segment.
We've not even just settled on the face. We've managed to re-embed it into, as a part of the movies. This is great.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Yoda very briefly, because I think everyone knows Yoda. Everyone loves Yoda, but I adore how they set him up. How he plays that idiot,
Yeah.
and he has that little interaction with R2-D2
Where
where
he's
he's
like
smashing him with his
smashing
stick.
stick.
Yeah,
Oh, I just love it. Like, there was a meme going around recently on Twitter where someone was like, here's what you should send to people if they're asking for help with their mental health, but they but you don't want to deal with it. Essentially, it was like here's what you should send them word by word. And like, it was really cynical and structured, and it was like, hi, I'm sorry you're experiencing this right now. I don't have the capacity / time to deal with you. Is there a time you can get back to me at a later date? And that like text just reminded me of Yoda in that film, where he literally like, Luke's like, what am I gonna do? Like, I have all these and Yoda's just like rolls over and dies. He's like, get back to me at a later date.
When Return of the Jedi, I did always think, like, why are you choosing now to tell him about Leia? Like,
There is another.
He's
It's the one thing that nearly fucked him up in the final scene.
Like, wait a minute, you're about to die.
Also, I expect Luke every time to be like, Skywalker what? Skywalker what? He's dead. Oh fuck! What was he going to say? Because he never finishes it. He never says Skywalker. He says Sky. And then dies.
Yeah,
such a
but
little shit.
in Empire, when he's first introduced, he is almost comical because he's like crawling around, like stealing Luke's pepperami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah, that's my favourite.
You see
Or we've
Yoda.
got Yoda gifs up on the screen at the moment, and it's just classic.
look how absolutely badass
Yeah,
he
the-
is in the prequels compared to.
But yeah, so I mean, it's just a brilliant, it's just amazing. The difference, the way that it's structured, the difference between like this comedy clown to that is why you fail, like that journey between that initial contact and Luke not being able to pull the X-wing out of the swamp.
Yeah.
And then you're everyone, like even as the viewer, even watching it for the first time as children or whatever, or like then you're hanging on Yoda's every word. Like you're like,
Yeah.
Yoda is
Yes.
the man.
But
Like, you're not
then-
like, oh, stop hitting R2 with a stick. Like,
Yeah, he's so
yeah.
sassy though. Like in the prequels, when when Obi-Wan comes in and he's trying to find out about where the clones are.
Oh, where the planet is.
Yeah, and he comes in and he's teaching all the younglings, and he's absolutely ripping him to shreds in
Lost
front of these
planet,
younglings.
Master Obi-Wan has.
like, hey,
It's like, hey,
fucking suck Obi-Wan. Yeah, but again, like because of the release order of the films, it was like that's what we knew Yoda as. Then pretty much in Return of the Jedi, he's getting very old and dies.
yeah,
But then it goes back and shows you what he was like in the prequels. But for the 20 years or so between when he went into exile and, or no, even longer than that, when Luke went to see him on it in Empire Strikes Back, he would have gone a bit crazy because he was, look how much of like how almost intelligent and how much of a life he led, and then he was living on his own in a mud hut, like
Yeah.
with nobody.
Well, presumably he was having tea with Qui-Gon every other day.
Yeah, Qui-Gon probably got sick of it after.
but yeah, his character journey is so like, again in the prequels, like when they're just finding out what Anakin has done, and there's like this line, but like when Obi-Wan's going to look at the like footage essentially, and he says like, oh, you don't want to look at that, and he like the voice, you can hear like the tears, and there's like the animation, he looks like he's gonna cry, and I'm like, Oh man.
Yoda's had to deal with some shit.
Yoda's had to deal with some shit.
Yeah.
And there's like 750 or was it 900 years like so like there's
Yeah.
another like 850 years worth of Yoda to find out about. That's the insane thing. They could probably make like 3 trilogies again out of the Yoda saga at some point. Right, okay, so that's the end of the very first part of that's the end of the very first part of Oi Moi Moi I Love Thee. We're going to go on to
Wait a minute, how long have we gone so far?
well, it says 52 minutes, but we recorded for like that's been recording for a while before, so it's probably more like 30
if you're
minutes.
listening, I hope you've got a few car journeys to work.
That's
Just
right.
put us on over the next few days.
Yeah, maybe it lasts the whole Christmas period.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
This brings me to the first structured segment of tonight. A segment I like to call "You Must Be Yavin a Laugh."
Hey.
Star Wars jokes based on Star Wars. These are crap. These are worse than the jokes we did on the abandoned joke episode.
Oh dear.
Those jokes were not crap.
But they're good. They're so bad they're good. I've only done like a few.
Okay.
Oh, there's a new TV spot just dropped.
He's distracted.
Just watch that. So first up, what's the internal temperature of a tauntaun?
Whoa.
Lukewarm.
Oh, bloody
Yeah, very
hell.
good.
You can use that one.
Oh, my name's Luke.
No, your name's Tonton. Very good.
How does Wicket get around Endor? Wicket throwback. How does Wicket get around Endor?
Lukewarm.
Incorrect.
He
walks.
We need some help to get to the end.
There was an attempt.
What do you call an invisible droid? C-3PO.
Wait a minute, you said these were crap. These are great.
Gold.
I only picked some of them as well. There's loads. Where do Gungans store their fruit preserves?
Oh.
In a jar jar.
Oh my! This is my Christmas sorted.
Yeah.
Just you wait till I tell my nan.
This one actually made me keck.
Oh God.
Keck.
Yeah,
Keck. But yeah, the video. Which program did Jedi use to open their PDF files? Adobe One Kenobi.
Oh, snap.
And is BB-8 hungry? Oh, no, I've ruined it. Hang on. Is BB hungry?
No,
BB-8.
Is BB hungry? No. BB-8.
I like how you ruined that.
Yeah. Completely stepped on
is
it.
BB-8 hungry? Lukewarm. They were. I actually liked them.
They were really
Whenever you're
good.
opening Christmas crackers over the Christmas period, forget what's actually written on there. Just recite one of these.
Yeah.
You
Let's
know,
start with these.
this is a quick intersection because you just mentioned that. What I always do, because Christmas crackers are notoriously bad, aren't they? So let's just think of like a generic Christmas joke. I don't know, like. Does anyone think of a Christmas cracker joke? No one can think of one.
I
Now.
can only think of the things you get in the Christmas crackers. Nope.
Come on, guys, same every year.
I know.
Yeah.
Why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? That's one, isn't it?
That's
Yeah, I don't know.
Christmas
I'll think of something. I'll think of something really crappily off the top of my head, but this is pretty much along the lines. I don't know, like what happened to the snowman's nose? Nobody snows. Like it would be like that, wouldn't it?
Right, yeah.
So because Christmas crackers are notoriously crap anyway, whenever I get one and I read it out, I make up a completely non-related punchline. So it'll be like, what happened to the snowman's nose? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know. And I'll be like, the cat. And everyone will be like, what the fuck?
You're evil.
I don't think that's really bad this year. Jokes are getting really bad. I'm just like,
It'd be a better social experiment if people actually laughed at it.
evil.
it makes no
I wish
sense.
I'd done that at my Christmas party. Like, what do penguins do on their first date? Dance.
Yeah, that's the type of
Just
thing.
like-
Because then it's like, oh, it's not really that good.
Oh.
But what was good was those Star Wars jokes.
Yes, very good.
You must be having a laugh. So that was a lot quicker than I was expecting to. So I'm just going to go on to another structured one before we come back to opinions. Yeah?
Cool.
All right. Now, this is a mashup of the traditional Brass Facts and Matty's Big Quiz. This is a segment I like to call Use the Facts, Mark.
Oh.
But the facts are going to be in the form of a trivia quiz. So I'm going to ask you the question. If you do know the answer, don't say. It's for everyone else to figure out.
Okay.
Right.
All right. If we all go
See what kind
silent,
of answers. See what kind of answers people come
So
up
this
with.
is a trivia quiz.
It's kind of a trivia quiz. It's facts wrapped in a quiz.
Okay.
Lovely.
So number one is I should have gone straight into this one actually because it's about Yoda. That would have been a better segue. Never mind.
we could edit it. We'll just,
Not now.
Fuck's sake, Jed.
No, not now that I've said all that.
say something else about Yoda. Someone quick.
So first up, Yoda. Yeah, okay. When I was writing this down, I knew I'd worded this really badly, and I was like, I'm going to fuck this up. Yoda was famously a live-action puppet in The Empire Strikes Back, but this was nearly not the case. He was originally... How was he originally going to be played?
Ooh.
Does anyone know?
I think I know, yeah.
I think I can guess.
I don't know, but I could give it a guess.
Yeah, give it a guess.
I was going to, just a person dressed up.
Okay.
I think more like a Muppet.
Well, yes, what he
Like
actually...
a hand puppet.
One of the facts, one of the places that I got some of these facts from, one of the facts was Yoda was not a Muppet.
What? That's the fact.
Yeah, but apparently there's a classification that makes a Muppet.
How
Not a
dare
Muppet.
you?
Oh.
And
He's
he didn't
friends with
meet
Beaker.
He didn't meet them. So shall I just get? I'll give you the answer.
Can I quickly just say because I
You
might be
give it-
actually
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
actually I won't say in case complete. I think he's going to be like a dog or something, wasn't he?
Close.
Oh,
Yoda was almost played by a monkey.
Oh,
According to the book The Making of Star Wars by J.W. Rinsler, George Lucas originally planned for Yoda to be played by an adorable monkey wearing a mask and carrying a cane.
Oh my god.
That one properly blew my mind. I was
Yeah.
not only how did they think that was going to work?
Well, yeah, that couldn't have gone wrong.
Yeah.
How
How do they think that was going to look good? That
you
would-
seek Yoda. Matt, him being a monkey would have changed everything.
yeah, it would have.
And the monkey would have been dead by the next film. They would have had to get a different monkey in.
Yeah.
I can sort of imagine it for the Dagobah scene that we said when he's trying to get the food out and he's whacking R2.
There are some I guess it depends what the script was like, but there's some pretty specific things that Yoda does that I can't see how a monkey could have done these
And
things.
the closest thing, well, I'm sure there's something closer, but the closest thing on a larger scale in terms of the movies would have been, I guess, that thing in... I'm really sorry I don't know the name of his character. In Solo, you know, the one with, the multiple arms?
Oh, yeah.
He's a bit monkey-like, isn't he?
Yeah.
But the...
It's played by Jon Favreau.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Yoda would have worked as a monkey if he was... Imagine him being like that character.
It seems like almost when I picture it in my head, I'm scared. It's uncanny to think of a monkey.
Especially in a mask.
Yeah, because monkeys are quite unpredictable and erratic as well.
Yeah, he might have ripped Mark Hamill's face.
Imagine him then trying to get him to raise the X-wing.
Yeah.
All we have to do is stand there with your hand out, monkey.
But in my head, I don't imagine a good mask. I just imagine a paper mask of Yoda,
Like a Halloween kid's
Yeah,
mask. Like a
and
witch
this
mask.
monkey just absolutely going ape shit.
Yeah.
Literally on set.
Ah.
That's so weird.
Okay, number 2. Whilst on Tatooine, Qui-Gon made a few calls to Obi-Wan back on the ship using his communicator. Remember when he was
Yes.
he's got midichlorians, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
That's pretty much spot on.
What every...
That was astounding.
I actually have the script in front of me. Thank you very much. And that wasn't my voice. That was Liam Neeson. I made some calls.
And that's how they were originally going to pronounce Obi-Wan's name in every scene.
Obi-Wan.
Oh, he's Irish, isn't he?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
What everyday household object was this communicator made from? If you can picture it, it won't help. If you can really picture it, it will help. But like when I read it, I was like, I don't remember it looking like that. And I think when I saw a picture of it, I was like, no, I got it confused with another thing. So
I don't know. Potato peeler?
A spoon?
An iron.
Qui-Gon used a Gillette razor for his communicator. In episode 1, the personal communicator used by Qui-Gon Jinn is actually made from a resin cast of a Gillette Lady Sensor XL razor.
Wow.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
Let me just quickly pull that up so you can see it. It's really
Yeah,
obvious.
I had the image in
What
my
the fuck did I
head.
say iron?
I had the image of
Massive
my head.
irons. Like huge. But I've never seen that type of raise. Like the ones we kind of, I imagine that's more American maybe.
Yeah.
As
The
well as anything
ones we
else.
get in the UK have got really thin
He's
handle.
actually about to shave there.
That's right.
There you go. That shows like that's a better because
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
actual thing, and you can see they've added a lot of different things onto it. But
It's very crafty.
when I pictured it, when it said the communicator and it was a razor, I pictured like a Mac 3.
Yeah,
so
I was thinking
Mac 5.
that.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then I remembered this scene where he puts the blood thing into the communicator so that Obi-Wan
yeah.
can read it off, and then I was like, yes, now that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't commonly get that type of razor, do we, in this country necessarily?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I
That
have
shape.
seen it before, but like, yeah, you don't see it very often.
I mean, it's such a generic shape. Why did they use a razor for it? Like, it seems like it could have been any. They could have made that from scratch, or a standard razor would have made more sense because that's a less common shape. That's just an oval.
Imagine he
Yeah.
nicked his chin while he was. Obi-Wan. He just goes
takes a
around,
chunk out of it.
goes around,
20,000 minute cloth. Fuck.
goes around the rest of the movie with a bit of like tissue
Yeah,
paper stuck on his chin.
Oh my
Right,
goodness.
moving on to Empire Strikes Back. Fact.
Ooh.
In Toy Story 2, Emperor Zurg reveals himself to be Buzz Lightyear's father in an homage to Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
But there is another crossover between these two films. Can you tell me what it is? Bear in mind, these are all facts I didn't know.
What else
Does,
happened in Toy Story
like-
2?
Woody get his hand cut off or something like that?
No.
God, I don't know then.
I was trying to think if like him and no, I don't know. I got nothing.
Do you know?
No, I don't think I do. I no, don't know.
The guy, John... Right, okay, let me just read it out. Cheers and Toy Story actor John Ratzenberger, who's Ham, the guy who
Yeah.
appears in
Yeah.
every single Pixar film,
Yeah.
has a brief appearance in Empire Strikes Back. It says here that he's the one who tells Han not to go back out into the cold to look for Luke, but it's not. I checked and it's not. It's the guy who tells Leia that they can't get hold of him. And he's got a moustache and everything, and like when you look at it, it's like, oh my
yeah.
god, that is Cliff from Cheers. But yeah, he's in 2 scenes, and I was just like, that's crazy. How have I gone all these years? Because I watched Cheers, I was obsessed with Cheers when I was
Yeah.
younger. Like, he's been in every single Pixar film. He's not a small figure to have just had a cameo that nobody knew about. So that was a good
Oh.
one.
Nice.
Interesting.
That's a good one. That one.
I love the next one, and again, I have no idea how this one's flown me by for so many years, and it also ties in kind of to something we've
Okay.
already talked about. Also, this is the last one. This is how hard it was to find facts. What's the connection between the classic banger Africa by Toto and Return of the Jedi?
Classic banger.
Is everyone playing the song in their heads right now?
Yeah. Oh, I honestly, I have no clue. Like, I can't even make a guess with that one.
I'm trying to think if the theme at the end where they're all dancing and Ewoking around.
Yeah.
It has like it's got like a similar
Vibe.
melody to it, but
It's going to be Endor related, isn't it?
Oh wait, is it like something to do with like the beginning of the song where it's like all the like pipes, and that sounds kind of Ewok-y as well.
Now, I realised after putting this down, it's still a good fact, but you wouldn't know because it's based on the cinematic version, not the special edition. Okay, so This is the original music. From Return of the Jedi. This is the original party music. It's called Yub Nub.
Love the Yub Nub.
I don't mind the other version, but Yub Nub's a fucking banger.
Yeah.
Yub Nub is such a good song, and so Yub Nub was written. The final victory song by the Ewoks at the end of Jedi was written by the same dude who wrote Africa. Now it gets crazier.
God.
Joseph Williams, lead singer of Toto, is the son of John fucking Williams.
What?
My mind just got blown.
This ends with, I guess it rains down in Endor. But so the comparison of lyrics. So we've got Yub Nub, Echob Yub Nub, Atomi Topi Chikin, Gnop Doc Fling U Ah, against. I guess that I must do us right. Sure as Kilimanjaro rises above the Serengeti. They both have their own poetic prose. Yeah, that one. I was just like, how did I not know that the lead singer of Toto is the son of John Williams, man?
That is pretty.
That's
impressive.
crazy.
That's good.
That's crazy.
Hella good fact.
What? I would have never have guessed that.
And can I quickly just intersect, because that's just and I knew this was going to happen as we talk about different things. I'm like, oh, that's reminded me of something. That's reminded me of something. And I'm going to try and word this without it sounding bad, because obviously, as we all know, unfortunately, lost Carrie Fisher during the Star Wars making of Star Wars. But I think that I'm really happy, and it seems like a strange wording of it, that John Williams has seen out the entire every Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be the same.
No, it
even
wouldn't.
if people were able to replicate almost a similar sound, or somebody else was stepping into his shoes.
Yeah, the music
The fact that
makes
he's doing all of them
Yeah.
is like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though the two people who stepped in for Solo and Rogue One have done an amazing job, it's not the same.
Not the same,
Is
no.
it Ennio Morricone who did Rogue One?
No, it was oh god, I can't remember his name.
And
No, that's the guy who did Fistful of Dollars. He's a Western. He's a
he
spaghetti
did
Western
like
guy.
Hateful Eight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I am predicting, well, not predicting, but I'm guessing that the climactic theme of this next movie that's about to come out, towards the end, I think the emotional weight of all of that, it might bring me to tears.
It will definitely bring me. I think I will be almost
Because
uncontrollable.
They said that like even just the musical score of that is going to be, there's something from every, this is going to be everything.
Just the trailer brings me to that.
Well, yeah, I need
the
to
music in the trailer is
I need to admit something. I saw it. I went to go see Aeronauts by myself a couple of weeks ago, like just during one of my days off, and it was the first time I saw the trailer for Rise of Skywalker in the cinema, and I full blown cried. Like there was
snap.
something so incredibly overwhelming about seeing just the trailer on the big screen.
Was it 3PO's line?
It was that, and it was just like the huge crescendo of the music,
Yeah,
and like
it is amazing, isn't
and
it?
just everything like building up, and like Rey and Kylo like walking towards each other on that turbulent like water scene, and like just everything.
Yeah.
I was like chills all up and down my body.
Differently to this one, as opposed to Force Awakens was kind of different because it was kind of like The Return, and then Last Jedi with the trailers and that. But this one has put like they've had like Jewel of Fates in some of the TV spots and all different like stuff from way back, and it's like, oh my god, they're putting everything in there.
This is like the culmination
Of the ultimate remix of Star Wars.
everything.
The ultimate callback to everything you remember.
And I really think like Rian Johnson was amazing, but I really think J.J. Abrams was the man.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to stay through, this is going to sound really nerdy, I'm going to edit this part out, but we might all anyway, but I think just to appreciate the music, I want to stay through like the whole credits just to listen to the
absolutely.
music.
Yeah, I think there'll probably be a lot of people.
Out of respect.
I think we always have though, haven't we?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And plus there'd probably be a trailer for Marvel at the end. It'd be like,
Captain America will come up on the screen. Fuck off. Like, yeah, it's just like, even like Endgame was so good, but it just like it couldn't even touch the sides with Star Wars and like the culmination of experience. Like, this is years in the making.
Yeah, it's literally 42 years, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be big time. We've gone off of that tangent from Toto and Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice
God
to bring.
damn
It
it.
was nice to bring that up because I think we could have easily forgotten, and there's so much that we can't go into, but we could have easily forgotten to even mention John Williams in the fact that, and
Yes.
all of us talking about our favourite films, like I said, there's so much more that goes into them, but the music itself
Yeah.
in all of them
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
amazing, isn't it?
I was asked the other day by a listener of the show what was my favourite score, and I instantly replied Empire Strikes Back. But that was based on the fact that when I was building this Lego podcast, this is made of Lego, the whole podcast, the Pod Racer. I was listening to I listened to episode 1 and New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and Empire Strikes Back is just by far and away the best. Like, it's probably masterpiece level, like I would say. Like the combination of the way that the music flows between the scenes is incredible. Obviously, Duel of Fates is probably one of the greatest pieces of music ever
So
written.
intense.
In your face, Beethoven.
But literally, like John Williams is on that level.
Yeah.
But it's such a shame because, like, I feel like, obviously, I think people look back on it, like, with the same reverence, but it'll never be like classical music, even though it is on that level. And he's done a time after.
Oh, because it's associated with a movie.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah,
It
like-
can't necessarily be appreciated in its own right.
Yeah, even though it totally is. Like, Princess Leia's theme is just one of my favourite pieces of music in any movie, and March of the Resistance as well.
you've just
Hello.
you've just played that back, but you've just done Princess Leia's theme.
my intestines just gurgled.
What I like about John Williams as well, from what I've seen in interviews and behind the scenes stuff, is I'm sure that he's like one of a kind, incredibly. Some people are just born with this absolutely special talent, and
Yeah.
but he just seems so effortless and nonchalant about it all the time,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Right, I'm very happy to do some more Star Wars movies."
He's so
just like goes in, just does it,
brilliant.
waves his little sticks
Yeah.
around.
Have you seen the Every Frame a Painting essay about the Marvel Symphonic Universe, where
Not sure.
No.
he does a whole piece on why the music for the Avengers is terrible? But not the Avengers, sorry, the whole Marvel thing.
Yeah.
And he gets a random load of people and he's like, sing me the Star Wars theme straight away, James Bond straight away, Harry Potter straight away, any Marvel movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on, there's 23 of them.
It's all very vanilla.
And like, yeah, he goes through, it's a 9-minute video, goes through showing like all these scenes and how they made huge missteps of not actually using music to emphasize the scenes and like
Sure.
tonally linking things. So like, for instance, you imagine back to the Force Awakens trailer
yeah.
where the Millennium Falcon comes through and they play the Falcon theme, like, I can't remember what the theme's called. They play it and instantly you're transported in your head back to seeing that in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's a completely different set, just those notes in combination go, oh my god, it's flying out of the massive rock monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Star Wars without music would be completely different.
Well, you've seen it on YouTube. You've seen the medal ceremony
Where they're
without
like-
music.
Yes, hilarious.
Licking their lips and
It's
stuff.
just like a couple of claps in the
Yeah.
background.
There's also like much more subtle use of it it's in Attack of the Clones, when after Anakin goes on his murder spree, you hear the first touch of the Vader theme. Well,
Yeah.
the first touch of the Vader theme.
Yeah.
Which it sets that callback up nice and early. It's like, oh yes.
I remember for Rogue One, sorry, I don't think did John Williams do Rogue One?
No.
But the music for that was still good because it had in the trailer it had the Resistance theme mixed with, I don't know if it was but they had like a couple that were mixed, and it was just like, that's how he's like utilizing his music to tell a story. Like, it's not just there. Like, when something plays, like you said, it instantly makes you think of something. It takes you somewhere. It's not just there. It's not just there to just like fill up a scene. It's like the music is important. The music can like kind of give you hints about how the movie's gonna go. It's just its own character in its own
amazing.
right.
Yeah, true. I
Well,
agree.
They do call it, they do call it musical cues, don't they? So it makes sense.
Yeah.
This is Editor Mark, just letting you know that we talked for so long on this episode that I have had to split it into 2 parts. The good news is that both parts are available now, so if you haven't already, download part 2 to continue the discussion.